Hello and welcome to SEGA News Bits. I'm your host George, and today I'm going to do a solo episode talking about the SEGA Genesis Mini. If you guys didn't know, SEGA announced 10 new titles for this upcoming mini console that they're making with M2. They even have Yuzo Koshiro doing the theme song, which I personally think I'm a little too excited for. I'm looking at all these announcements and them announcing games, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool, but when are we going to see the Yuzo Koshiro song? Like, I'm waiting for that. But they announced 30 titles now. The system's supposed to have 40 in total, so we only have 10 more to announce. If you guys haven't seen our last videos, we even did a little thing where we talked about games that we wanted to see. Of course, we had to choose obscure games, and they actually picked one that I really wanted, so I'm actually kind of surprised because I kind of put it in there because I'm like, there's no way they're gonna put this game in, but I'm very happy that they did. I'm gonna go through the US ones. First, we're gonna go through the ones we already know real quick, and then I'll talk about the new 10 that they just announced for the US release, and then we'll go and see the exclusives for the Japanese release and the UK release that you won't get in the American version. So here are the games we already know about. Echo the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodlines, Space Harrier 2, Shining Force, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Toe Jam and Earl, Comic Zone, Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, Gunstar Heroes, Castle of Illusion, World of Illusion, Thunder Force 3, Super Fantasy Zone, which is the first time you can play this game in the US, Shinobi 3, Streets of Rage 2, Earthworm Jim, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Contra, Hardcore, somebody corrected me last time I said Corpse, it's like, I guess the Marine Corps, Landstalker, and then here we go, the brand new ones, right away, Mega Man, Wily Wars. This is one I wanted last time because it's the first 3 games remade, and I know a lot of people say that this game is not that great. Of course it's not a perfect game, but I was pretty interested in this game when I was a kid, and it never really released in America, so this is going to be the first time that it's, it's still digitally released, so it's not a physical or anything, but it's nice that we get to play it without, subscribing to Sega channel. The next one is kind of interesting, or, I think a bad choice, but, you'll tell me in the comments, but, Street Fighter Special Championship Edition. And the only reason I'm saying this is a bad choice is not because it's a terrible port. It's not the best. I remember when I was a kid, I was a little jealous of the Super Nintendo having better graphics, but what really set me off as a kid was that I had a 3-button controller, which the US version of this console is coming with, and I had to buy a 6-button one because you literally can only use your punches, and then you have to press start to switch to your kicks. So that's annoying. I don't know why they did that. They're basically showing you like, hey, look guys, don't you wish you had a 6-button controller? Maybe they should have chose a game that used only 3 buttons and just kept it like that, because do you really want to show people your weaknesses of your console, especially because this is only for the US version? So Sonic Spinball, this is actually one that some people love, some people hate. It's not a terrible game, but it's definitely not Sonic 3 or Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which a lot of fans want, and there's some sort of copyright dispute about, so that's why you never see it in collections. But as this game, it has some great tracks in it. It's cool that it ties in with the cartoon. I think this is like the only Sonic the Hedgehog game of the era that actually pretended that the cartoon existed, so if you like that, that's pretty cool. Phantasy Star 4, which in my opinion is the easiest Phantasy Star old JRPG to get into. It's the best written one. It is kind of easy, but considering how ridiculously hard the other ones were, this is a pretty good way to start in. Beyond Oasis. This is one of those games that I didn't play growing up. I played a little bit over the years on emulation and stuff, but I never really got too far. I'm definitely going to be playing this game all the way through when I get this game, or when I get this SEGA Genesis Mini. This is probably going to be one of the games that I'm going to be spending a lot of my time in. Ghouls and Ghosts, and this is the 3rd Capcom game in here. I'm pretty sure there's other ones if we look around, but so 3 licensed games. I'm pretty excited to see this. I do know that the first game, I think it's Ghosts and Goblins, was super hard. I never played this one. Another game I haven't experienced. so I'm pretty excited for this one. Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle, which I hate. I don't know, I'm not a big Alex Kidd fan, and I know a lot of people online give me grief for it, but if you're an Alex Kidd fan, you get a Enchanted Castle. Golden Axe, I mean, this game is iconic, it had to be in here. I would be surprised if it wasn't, and in my opinion, the first one was the one I played the most, so I love it. Vector Man, which is kind of like one of those Donkey Kong Country games where they try to copy the graphics. It's interesting. It's one of the more Western titles. It was aimed for us in the West, so I'm glad it's here, along with Comic Zone, which they kind of came out at the same time. Wonder Boy in Monster World. This game looks great. I love the graphics. I think the game is pretty fun to play. I haven't played it in a long time, but it's going to be one of those games that I feel like a lot of people that never experienced it are going to go back and actually really love it, especially right now that Wonder Boy 3 has gotten so many traction on the Nintendo Switch. I hope this thing moves a few units. So let's talk about other countries that got their exclusives. It's actually kind of funny that the UK and the US version of the 10 new SEGA Genesis games and / Mega Drive Mini that they announced were actually the same in both regions. In Japan is the only one that we got some exclusives. And then in Japan, they got The Revenge of Shinobi, which we haven't gotten in the other units. Puzzle and Action, Taint R. If you guys never heard of this game, it's actually an arcade sequel to the Bonanza Bros. So if you're a big fan of the Bonanza Bros, that was basically ported everywhere on all these collections. The Japanese are getting the spiritual sequel, which kind of sucks for us because I kind of do like the Bonanza Bros. I do like their designs, and it is kind of lame that we are not getting an English version of this for the first time. That would be a pretty cool surprise. We also have Party Quiz Mega Q, which is a Sega developed and published game which basically has you on a television quiz program and you answer different questions with different rounds. This obviously is a Japanese exclusive. Do not expect this game to come over outside of Japan. And the last Japanese exclusive announced in these 10 titles was Yu Yu Hakusho. I don't even know how to pronounce the subtitle for this, but this is obviously based on the very popular manga and anime. I love Hunter x Hunter, so I played this before because the guy that writes this stuff is really good. And this game is actually developed by Treasure. Some of the best anime fighting games I've ever played were by Treasure, so this one is pretty good. I love the Bleach ones they did on the DS. I used to play them all the time. They were great games, real fun. Not too much into the Bleach anime though. As far as what I'm gonna buy, at first I was a little weary about even buying one of them, but the fact that Sega actually went out and got third-party developers makes me want to buy the American version. And since the Japanese version is so bizarre and they also have 6-button controllers, I'm thinking I might get the Japanese one too. I do hate the fact that Sega put the 3-button controller instead of the 6 in the US version. It's definitely a negative no matter how you spin it. I am a little disappointed in some of the games, and let me tell you which ones. I think Street Fighter 2 should have just been Super Street Fighter 2. Might as well just get the best one out there. And I really don't think Alex Kidd and Enchanted Castle should have been on here. I think maybe Sega should have focused on maybe another multiplayer game. If you're going to be selling the console with 2 controllers, you should focus a lot on co-op game. And I also want to see Revenge of Shinobi. I know it's in the Japanese one, but that's a great game. Maybe even Shadow Dancer. But those are my opinions on the brand new announced SEGA Genesis Mini / Mega Drive games. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And what do you guys want to see for the last 10? Are you guys going to buy it? Let me know. See ya.